Starting it.
Come, but I'm usually doing other things along the way. It's just not convenient to have to tag along.
I got a call the other day, I ended up, so, ended up just the two of us.
Thank you for
Nice
coming.
to see everybody. Zoom is really good, but it's nice to be in person.
Yeah, yeah, great. And on Zoom, do we have any new members? You could just raise your hand or something like that, or speak up. Unmute yourself. No, I guess not. Okay. Oh, there's that light on right in my forehead.
Yeah.
Are there any announcements that anybody has you'd like to make? No, Brian, I think you were going to talk about the name tags. Yeah, probably. Oh, Yuri, did you want to take something?
Somebody left this on my table last time and I thought it was from Maxine. That was, you know, so.
yeah.
Great, you found a home for that?
I'll come up.
Brian?
Thought I sold
Great, but.
See a different face up here.
The topic came up before about the name tags. Some of us had from your dad Bob.
Yes.
Gotten for us before. So you've done a lot of research as to.
I walked in and said, how much are they? That's pretty much the
We
research.
did a lot of
yeah.
research. So he's going to tell us about the name tags, and this applies for people online too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, if we'll need online, unless you're in person to see a name tag, but, your
Yeah.
name tag's pretty much right up there on the
When they
screen.
when they go shopping, when they go to the library.
Sure, exactly, display your badge proudly, cats. So yeah, so we've got these nice little badges, I can present it, you know. They're basically, to get any discount, which isn't a whole lot, is up to 15 is a regular price, over 15 is a little bit cheaper. So there's a setup fee, so I've kind of averaged out the setup fee. So the price is approximate, but if you want one, it's about $15. Unless we can get more than 15 interested, then it's about $12. And I'll get an exact number when I can just average out the setup fee to whoever
That's a
wants.
good price.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
I
that-
know about that, that's good.
Yeah, and that includes a magnet, the price includes a magnetic instead of the, you know.
Yeah, the old type had a pin on it.
Yeah. So it'll be easy magnet, t-shirts like this, just pop it in. So yeah, I'm gonna send this around. I'll start over here and just pass it around during the meeting. Just put your name on it the way you want it to show. And we haven't really come up with an exact design, but it'll be pretty much similar to what we have now. Just so that, like I said, I'm VP and I don't even know half the names, so it'll be nice to just, you know, be able to walk around the room and say, you know, because if you're too shy to say, what's your name?
Yeah.
So,
Good, thank you, Brian.
How about including the group's logo on the bag?
I mean,
The question, can you include the?
So
It's sort of on
I
there.
was gonna wear my caps, but like this, the caps logo, is it just cap? Do we really have a logo?
That's-
Logo?
Yeah, it's a banner rather
Yeah,
than a logo.
yeah.
Hard to do.
It wouldn't lend itself to.
No, so yeah, it's not so much a little logo.
No.
So we've kind of just got the Victor. I think it's probably my dad did from, because he probably did these originally. He used the Victor that we've got, so.
I think that's what he had on his van, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's
exactly.
not to say that we shouldn't design a logo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's put that on the list too.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brian.
Yep.
Okay, then we normally move on to a segment. It's like, I'm looking for a certain part. So. Like to start off, is there someone who's looking for a particular part or a phonograph or a record or something you'd like to put the word out? In hopes that somebody has it? Brian, weren't you looking for
I'm
something?
going back up.
You might as well come back up.
I go. All right, so in respect to the theme today, I was gonna bring in, I don't know if there's a camera, I was gonna bring in this cute little Mickey phone. And I pulled it out of my dad's basement stuff and it doesn't seem to be intact. So where's, right here. So basically, it seems like I don't know anything about it, but I'm assuming it's missing what it kind of needs for
Reproducer?
a reproducer arm.
The resonator.
There's a resonator, black, looks like plastic that fits in that
Yeah,
circle right there.
yeah. So something's obviously missing, whether it's just that or I don't know if there's an arm that it goes on or I don't know how it attaches.
Is there a turntable?
But without it bringing in, like, I don't know if there's more to this turntable or not. This obviously would be the turntable. It seems a little floppy. But if anybody has parts for a Mickey phone, I'd be interested in looking at, or if anybody needs parts, I guess we could do an opposite trade, but preferably I'd like to get this working. So, yeah,
Great.
thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Anybody else looking for something? Phonograph related?
Looking for love.
How about online? Anyone looking for a part or a record or machine? Just speak
I'm
up.
always looking, but I can't afford to buy them.
That is often a problem.
And I'm sometimes, I look for stuff for sale that I don't need. And just before the meeting started, I looked on Facebook Marketplace. There's a really nice looking Victrola VV4 for $50. It's in beautiful shape, but I don't need it. You know, it's just posted up 2 hours ago. I could just get it, but so no, I don't need anything.
The VV4s and the VV6s seem to be averaging about between $50 and $75 in nice playable condition on eBay. So
Yeah,
why they've gone down so low, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I can see that you can't always go by what people ask, because sometimes you'll see like a VV6 for $650 or something like that. But yeah, $50 for a nice looking one. She says it doesn't work, but it's probably easily fixed. But anyway, yeah, I don't need anything.
Okay.
In fact, that's the problem, isn't it? Very few of us need them, which is why they're $50 and hopefully somebody will pick it up, but it's why these things don't sell, because we've all got the ones that we want.
Right. Okay, thank you. And I guess now we'll be moving on to our presentation.
Yeah.
So we're very honored today to have a very interesting presentation. I think most of you know Alexander Witkowski. He's been very excited putting all this together. And it's not just what you're going to show, it's also what you were able to get other members to bring in too. There's some really unusual machines here we probably have never seen before, may never again. And so you're going to host it and introduce people, I guess, and have them talk about their machine.
Sure, yeah.
So thank you again for putting this
Thank
together.
you. So. Thank you. So today we have a really interesting show and tell on some really rare and unusual machines. And thank you so much for all the members that have brought machines in. So we're gonna start with Mark presenting his Bettini machine.
Okay, actually, can you just do the camera, make
Sure.
sure it's in the right place? Now let me get it. Okay, this is a Bettini machine. So let me talk a little bit about Bettini first. In the late 1890s, Bettini was an Italian who moved to America and married an American. And he was a bit of a socialite. He was quite wealthy. He had very high taste. He was very much into opera. And he was well connected in.
Go around there, and then we'll see if we can get this in the shop. See if we can get you and it in the shop. Can you do that?
Yeah, but it's like. Is that better?
No.
Mark, if you nail down.
Better.
Here, actually, we move. Yeah, that's pretty good.
That works.
Okay. So Bettini was quite a socialite. He was really interested in opera. His house was very much near the Metropolitan Opera House. And he sort of ran in those circles with all those sort of rich and famous people, especially opera singers. And he saw an Edison Class M machine being demonstrated, and he was really interested. He thought, this is the coolest thing. I want to get one of these, and I want to record some of these people. So he got a Class M, and he started recording some opera cylinders of people who actually never recorded. So he got to record people that later, even though recording became popular, their voices were never captured except on Bettini's cylinders. But when he recorded them, he wasn't pleased with what the outcome was, because in those days, the cylinders were a bit softer and the recording technology wasn't very good. So when he recorded on those cylinders, the best way to listen to them was through headphones. So the horns weren't much in use in the late 1890s. People were still mostly listening through hearing tubes, and he thought that wasn't going to be good enough for what he wanted. So he was a bit of an inventor. So he designed his own reproducer and recorder. And this is one of the Bettini reproducers, but it's a later one and it's a smaller one. His other ones are fairly large reproducers. They've got a huge diaphragm. That larger diaphragm meant that when he recorded or when he played back, he could get a lot more volume out of it instead of the smaller Edison style, which is only like an inch and a bit. The diaphragms then in use were glass, but Bettini thought that's too rigid. So he was the first to use a mica diaphragm. And on these, most of his reproducers, it's actually aluminum stretched like a drum head underneath with a lot of screws around it and a ring. So he invited a lot of famous opera singers to come to his studio. He opened up like a salon and a lab. And he said, you know, I've got my new machine, I've got these reproducers. And he started selling the reproducers, but they were very expensive technology back then. And he started recording these opera singers and famous people like Mark Twain. And I think one of the presidents recorded for him. And in the end, he actually ended up being the one who recorded, sorry?
Nellie Melba.
Nellie Melba.
She wouldn't record again until 1904.
Yeah, so he got her early. He also got the Pope, but that cylinder was mass produced. So he built up a stock of incredibly rare performances. And so he decided, I'm going to start selling them. So what he would do is he would take the original and pantographically dub it or acoustically dub it onto a new cylinder and sell them. Those cylinders were $6 at a time when a cylinder was 50 cents. So they were only the richest people could afford them. And he didn't make multiple copies of them. Unfortunately, later he moved back to France, took his business and moved to France and started building things in France and recording in France. He took all his master cylinders, all this incredible collection of opera singing to France, and during World War II, during the bombing, they were all destroyed. So all we have are copies that he made of his cylinders, and they're exceedingly rare. Here's one of the boxes for one. What I did was I recorded a Bettini cylinder onto this. It didn't come out as well as I was hoping, but they're not in great shape, the originals. So he was in America. He made the reproducers and cylinders for a few years, 2 or 3 years, I believe. Then he moved to Paris and started doing the same thing there. And a little bit, I wouldn't use the term mass produced, but he was producing more of that kind of stuff. So he's producing more cylinders, and he had more originals. He was able to still get a lot of people because he was well connected. Then he decided to actually produce some machines, but he didn't really produce machines. All his reproducers were designed to fit on Columbia or Edison machines. So you would buy a special arm, replace the carriage on an Edison machine or a Columbia. And then that arm could be adapted to hold a Bettini reproducer. Then when he was in France, he did the same thing, but he also contracted a few companies. Like I'm thinking this was built by Phoenix or Pathé. He never actually built machines, but he thought I might as well market some. So he made his reproducer and adapted it to this Pathé or Phoenix machine, and then had a nameplate put on it with his name. So this is technically a Bettini machine, but it was built by someone else. But they're even rare to find an actual Bettini machine. This reproducer is the one he was building in France that was the less expensive one. So there are more of these, if you can say there's more of anything Bettini, this style. The bigger ones are much harder to find. So this was really state of the art back then because of the way he did it, the size of the diaphragm, the material of the diaphragm, you could actually use a horn. His recording technology was really state of the art at the time. So any of his cylinders are excellent for that era, and any of his equipment produces sound really good quality sound. Within a few years, they began molding cylinders in 1902, and that kind of killed that market a bit because now everybody was able to use a horn on a machine. So I was going to play a couple of things since we have time. Do we have time? Let me wind this up. They're very fussy, these reproducers, and prone to damage, so sometimes they don't work. Maybe I'll try it. This is I dubbed this, so it's not very good because when I transferred this through a speaker into there. I wasn't getting the sonic range on the cylinder that I was hoping, so I'm gonna have to figure out how to do that a bit better. But I thought at least I'd play it. This is from a Bettini cylinder of opera. And actually, I know who it is. Vivier. And what do you make of that? That's what I got off the internet.
Yeah, Vivier, Mademoiselle Vivier.
Yeah.
Charme d'amour.
Okay. Let's give this a try.
Is the reproducer on the wax surface? I
Yeah.
had that problem while recording all the time, and I've been doing a lot of recording.
Oh, then get in contact with me because I wouldn't mind getting some tips.
Sure, I'll DM you, then we can continue.
Okay. Probably all we can take.
That was delightful.
Yeah. So this is one of his original boxes. This is from Paris, 1900. I did have a couple of other things so you can hear how much volume this can put out. I've got Edison advertising record and Take Me Out to the Ball Game, which, yeah.
One of the Zoom members says there's no sound.
Yeah, it's just not loud enough for the microphone to pick up.
Two have said no sound.
Okay, I'll put one of these on. Which do we want, do you think?
The ball game.
Yeah.
That should deafen all of us. And what's your name again, presenter?
Oh, Mark Caruana.
Okay, Mark, I should have known that. I'm gonna send you a chat message, or would you prefer a Facebook instant message?
Facebook would be good.
Okay, coming right up.
And I think we're gonna set them up over here afterwards. When you get a chance to look at it, you should look at the reproducer. It's got a counterweight over here. So you can actually adjust this piece here to further and closer to take weight off the reproducer or add weight to the reproducer. And it swivels quite ingeniously. So it's quite a sophisticated little reproducer.
But for all the inventiveness that Bettini put into that, I didn't hear it sounding much better. I mean, if you just played it with an Edison reproducer and I wasn't looking at it, I wouldn't have known the difference. Oh, the wrong horn.
The horn, well, it's not the wrong horn, it's just that it's no good.
What's wrong with the horn?
Well, it needs to be way bigger than that.
Yeah, well, a lot of the horns are bigger. This
Yeah.
is the smallest one from
Yeah.
the smallest machine.
That's right.
Those other, most of his stuff was put on larger machines, like concert machines and things like that.
Yeah.
And yes, they're not quite as loud in some cases, but that's because these were in use in the 1890s when all the machines weren't very loud.
Right.
So relatively speaking, this was a really loud machine. 2 years, 3 years later, relatively speaking, this was on par or less. Yeah. So it was a very niche market for a very short period of time.
And I like the counterweight because there was, the wax cylinders at that time, some of them are much softer.
Yeah,
You would have softer wax,
Yeah.
so you would have to reduce the weight on the styles.
yeah, for sure. That's why you were able to make that
So,
adjustment.
yeah, that's why that's on there.
Yeah, it's a brilliant little machine.
It's nice, it's nice.
Okay, thanks very much.
Very nice.
All right, thanks, Mark, for bringing that machine. So our next presenter is Brian Nix, and he's gonna show us some interesting toy machines.
Okay, so back to this Mickey phone. If anybody has even pictures, diagrams, instructions, anything that would kind of show me what is in that I could be missing would be great. All right. So first off, this is just a little toy, but it's different. Camera. Where's the camera?
Right there. You can see
Oh.
it.
That's the mic.
But I'm not in the picture now.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, there we go. Just not pointing the right way. So this little Mighty Tiny, got all sorts of different records that it comes with. There's multiple different ones. Yeah, I honestly, it's some of my dad's collection, so I'm not really too familiar with it. I don't have a whole lot to say about it, but I don't even know what kind of titles these are. They seem kind of odd. And unfortunately, I can't demonstrate it because for some reason I can't get it to work. So unless somebody else knows more about it than I do, there's a battery and everything, and it's got the little record. So it's got just a little record that goes on. And I mean, some people may have seen these sometimes in the auctions, but it just slides in there, and I don't know if there's something that triggers them when it closes, but unfortunately doesn't play. But it's a cute little machine, and it's marketed as world's smallest record player. World's smallest record player. However,
Right,
so is this.
when the Mighty Tiny.
Yeah.
When the case closes.
Yeah.
The needle pushes down on the record, which makes the whole record plate.
Yep.
Come down and make contact.
Yep.
And it starts it running,
Yep.
so you're probably.
Yeah, it's an
there's
actual
a little
needle
bit
in
of
this.
Spring inside, if you take it apart, there's a little line spring. That
Okay.
makes contact when the record is pushed down,
Okay.
and they actually sound pretty good.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know. It doesn't look like it's actually touching the record yet when I
So
close it.
that's,
So
that's, as
Oh, yeah.
soon as it's depressed, it connects and the
Yeah.
recorder starts running and it'll play the record.
interesting. I will check that out another time. But yeah, it's got its own little, almost like a regular needle in there. It's kind of press fit. So I guess you don't change it at every play.
No.
And again, as I was saying, this is also titled the world's smallest record player. So for whatever reason, it was just a marketing thing, I'm sure. But I've got a nice Marilyn Monroe record to display here. I figured I wouldn't bring the Def Leppard in this time. So, all right. So I've got these little toys here. Pretty much just drives on the record. And I would probably say it's probably smaller than the Mighty Tiny. And it's got a speaker on top. It comes in a little box. I don't know how old this one is, but obviously it almost looks fairly new, but it's not. So a little Volkswagen. Pretty much just put up the antenna and it starts. You can almost hear it. It's got its own little stylus on the bottom. You can hear it. Probably online you can't, but
What kind of pressure does that put on the record?
not a lot. But it just plays vinyl records, so probably can't do too much damage, but that's why I wouldn't play it on my Def Leppard. I want to record. All right, so I don't know if you can get a zoom camera into this or not, but no, it's gonna take off on me. It does have a little catch on it, so it doesn't yeah. There it goes. That's a little bit of a fast speed to it.
That sounds like I might be playing at 45 on the 33 record.
Possibly, the box definitely says for 33 1/3, so. And this one, it's actually kind of neat, it's got like headlights. But it sounds horrible, so I won't even try it. I couldn't get it to sound properly, so. Okay. Not bad. All right. When I tested it the other day, it was too fast. All right, so that's those. Don't want to take up too much time here. Did you want me to save or do that now?
Right.
Yeah, okay. I'll do this one first. So if we can get, I don't know, back into the camera.
Yeah.
So back in the days, I don't really know any stories, but I just know what it's for. Back when they wanted to spread the gospel to the world, and you couldn't send a big, huge wooden phonograph to overseas. This is what they would send to send a message. So it just comes out of a cardboard, opens up. Record just fits on this little pin here, just like this.
Is it back?
That's your turntable.
Okay, hold on, just.
All right.
Is it?
Right, just move it a little bit that way, I think. Yeah, that's good, yeah. Yeah, that's it.
All right, so no springs attached, no springs. This is a manual thing, so let's see if I can remember which way I'm going with this one. So, yeah, that's right. Yeah, here we go. Hard to keep it solid, but.
Don't send everyone at the big top. We are Western.
Sounds possessed.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, my arm doesn't go at 78 RPM consistently. Anyway, so yeah, might need a little practice to get that to work, but anyway, that's just kind of a neat little thing for, sending music or messages to the world.
Music.
All right, I don't want to take up too much time, so. Okay, all right, so I don't have to speed up?
No.
Okay. All right, well, I don't have a whole lot of things to explain or talk about, so. I don't have too many history on these things. A lot of this stuff, like I said, is from my dad's collection, so I don't even know where half the stuff comes from originally. So a lot of people have probably seen these little camera phones or what they call camera phones, but this is a compact. It just comes in a nice little case, all there in a little, so we call it portable. Well, this is even more portable than a portable. So pretty much just get it together like a transformer. Thing in there, just so. The arm just flips out, just like would on any record. We have a record to play besides my gospel message.
Can we take one of these? or no?
This is any 78.
You know what? I don't even have a needle for it. Does anybody have? a
Oh, I
needle?
have a needle.
Otherwise, I'll open a package. What we got here? Ezekiel saw the wheel.
You wanna do an opera?
Here the lambs are crying.
John wants to show me this. That's too big. Oh, is it?
That's too big. Let's try them. Well, they say go big or go home, well, go home. All right. So yeah, it's just gonna drop right on there. And see how well this thing sounds. See if I can remember how it starts up. There's a little knob here, I think is the speed control and volume.
Pull it out, just, yeah.
I don't think you need to pull it out. It's just, yeah.
Not 78, I'll tell you that much. There you go.
Oh, yeah, not sure what speed on that. All right, here it is. Can't wind it with the record on apparently. All right, needs lots of one. See, if I just could use a pen like the other one, I'd be playing music already. I could just.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. You go Scrooge. All right.
I'll go.
All right.
All right.
Give her a minute.
No.
A little wobbly, but it works.
Be careful.
Just the novel, twist the speed.
That's what I'm doing right now. Yeah.
I Savior spoke these words so sweet.
I don't really know how they're supposed to sound. Slower? Yeah.
Good choice. That's a jolly record, isn't it?
I sure just played this one.
My Lord, I
love that one.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I think we're done with that one. All right, who's gonna buy that one? I don't know.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you have to.
So,
You haven't sleep.
all right, and just like that,
You haven't sleep. Oh,
hold it up and away you go.
thank you.
Actually, it's interesting. A little plug, but Mike was saying, talking about reproducers in a future meeting, and looking at this one, I just realized this is the same reproducer I just rebuilt the other day. It was a very similar one, so it's very interesting. But yeah, they're more of a portable. This one didn't have a good volume, but it really doesn't have much as far as the horn goes. But I've seen some that have the cardboard horns, and those are kind of really unique too.
Yeah.
So this isn't really something unique, it's just different, obviously. So yeah. Yep. I tested this one already. I trust it a little bit. It's not a heavy, VV. Yeah. But
Mike, years ago, you had a very, very senator. And you're thinking, you brought it and I broke the.
oh,
Not the judge, it was the judge.
Oh.
We just, a joke, but everybody reacted.
Yeah.
My third meeting.
Oh.
Anyway. I think that's all I had
That's
for
it.
show and tell, so,
Yeah.
all right.
Thank you so much for bringing those in.
Yeah, now I'm just trying to figure out. All right.
So we're moving on. And our next presenter is Mike Bryan with this Liray machine.
Get the camera, get them on camera, right?
Marilyn Monroe play on that one? Mike, no problem? Yeah, is Marilyn Monroe play on that? Do we get a record? No?
No, I'll pass, thank you. Yeah, okay. So here we have, I'll just put that there for a moment. Okay, good. So here we have a Leray #2. So let me give you a bit of background on Leray. Henry Leray was a French clockmaker. His father had been a clockmaker, and he followed in the tradition of his dad. But he had a slightly different bent. He was much more creative and inventive. So as soon as he had finished his clock studies, his apprenticeship and so on, he moved to Paris. He was out in the country somewhere, and he moved to Paris and set up his own workshop. And he worked on travel alarm clocks and the way of winding them up. So he was always trying to improve on the kind of clocks that were already there. Then a little bit later, he went to so this was in the 1890s. Later in the 1890s, he went to 1898, I think it was. He went to the World's Fair in Paris, and Edison had a display there. So Edison was showing his Class M machine. No, this would have been 1888, wouldn't it? Yeah. He was showing his.
That was the year of the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. Yeah. So Edison had a Class M machine there. He had his original tinfoil machines there from years ago, and also tucked away in a cupboard somewhere was some of his prototypes. And one of the prototypes was a doll. It was going to be the Edison talking doll. And indeed, Edison did go on to make the doll. As I'm not going to tell the whole story of that, but as many of you may know, it was a complete failure for all kinds of reasons, and it only lasted a few weeks. He then withdrew it from sale, and that was the end of the Edison talking doll. But remember, Henri Leray had seen this. There was somebody else who'd seen it as well, a guy called Émile Jumeau. Now, Jumeau was the maker of high-quality dolls in France, and he had a lot of competition from the Germans, and he was always looking for competitive advantage. And he was also at the World's Fair in Paris in 1888 or 1889, and he saw the Edison talking doll as well. And he sort of followed the progress of that to see what was happening. And he saw that it was withdrawn and it was a complete failure, but he thought, I can do better than that. I'd like to do that. Now, who could I get to work with me? Oh, there's this guy, Henri Leray. Let me see if I can find him. So I went off to see Henri Leray, and Jumeau explained that he would like to build a doll like Edison's, but much better, that had the little mechanism inside the doll. So Leray was immediately inspired by that. He said, wow, that's fantastic. What a great idea. And in fact, he was so inspired, he really turned his focus from making clocks and improving clocks to the phonograph. He decided that he was going to make a phonograph. The only thing was, Edison had nailed down all the patents on phonographs at the time, so he knew he would have to develop something pretty much from scratch. So he set about doing that, and indeed, within a fairly short space of time, maybe 3 years, it was about 1893, I think it was, when the Leray doll, so in a baby Jumeau body, so Jumeau's doll, Henri Leray's phonograph works inside it. Now, he had designed something completely different from Edison's. Obviously, with his clockmaking experience, he had a sort of different view of the delicate parts and the small parts that would go into a doll. But he also introduced celluloid cylinders. Now, if you think about it, think of all the time that poor old Edison could not make celluloid cylinders because they were patented later by Lambert, and he never got hold of them until 1912 when he introduced the blue amberol. So right back here we are, right back in 1893, with Henri Leray making the very first celluloid cylinders. And here is one of them. So this is a 1 minute. This is a #2 cylinder that would play for 1 minute. The cylinder that was put into the doll was half the width of this, so narrower than this, and played just for 30 seconds, which of course was appropriate for a doll. But anyway, so Leray launched his doll. It was reasonably successful and it worked properly, with a little resonator instead of a horn. And then he said, okay, I'm really into this phonograph thing. So he then took the works from that and put them into a little cardboard box. Now, you may have seen the cardboard box about 8 or 9 inches high, maroon colored. You lift up the lid, you put a celluloid clear resonator on top, or horn, really. The resonator's underneath and the sound comes out of this clear celluloid top. And that was his next machine. So we went from the doll to Le Merveilleux. And then he got really ambitious. And in 1895, he introduced this machine that you see here, but not quite. He introduced the Leray number 2. Now, he seems to have forgotten the number 1. That never existed. So it started, the serious machines outside of boxes or dolls started with the Leray number 2, which you see here. Initially, it was, can we see this okay on camera? Yeah, it was just this with a resonator, with the same kind of resonator that we saw in the doll and the Merveilleux. There was just the resonator on top. And that's how you see most Leray number 2s. But in 1897, he was looking of ways to do better, because actually his problem was that he was really good. He was making fantastic machines. They worked very well. They were well engineered, very solid, but they were just so expensive. And this, when you were telling the story, Mark, of Bettini, I was seeing the parallels here in people in France producing wonderful things, but at such cost that the general market could not afford them. It was just way above them. So Leray was not selling very many of these. In fact, in total, I think they sold between 1,500 and 2,000 of the Leray number 2. But to boost sales and to make it look a bit different, in 1897, he added this baseboard. So you see this wooden plush covered with red velvet baseboard and a horn. So instead of the little resonator, it now, just put the cylinder back on, it now had a horn. And an interesting large, look at the, can you see that? I can't see behind me. Is that okay? Yeah. So there's the reproducer. So just a pretty big but lightweight flat one with a stylus, not a needle. So this would be the way it would work. Now on this particular machine, I think we've identified one of the problems by bringing it here today, and that is that the belt doesn't seem to be of the right tension. So just like on an Edison machine, if the belt isn't the right tension, it just doesn't play. So it seems to have no strength. So I can't actually play it for you today. But this is a wonderful example of a great inventor and clockmaker's skill being turned to the phonograph. And he went on to produce another machine fairly similar to this, the Leray number 3, and then eventually the Leray number 4, and then an A and a B, and a number of other, I would call them fairly one-off exotic machines that, there literally are just, half a dozen of them left in the world today. So this in itself is extremely rare, but the other models that I've mentioned are even rarer and, generally only found in museums or in the hands of a few private collectors. So, how long did it last? I mean, he started in the early 1890s, about 1893. I think by about 1901, he was out of business and he went back to clockmaking. It was all just too expensive. So it had been a wonderful experiment and it had a great time. And he leaves us with these, to my mind, spectacularly beautiful machines. And I'm grateful to him for that. But the company just couldn't be sustained at that price level. So it was goodbye, Henri Leray. There we are. Thank you.
Hey, can you play it? Can you play the cylinder?
Oh, can you play the cylinder?
No, it doesn't really play, it hasn't got enough strength, I'm afraid. What I can tell you though. Thank you. Oops. Oh. Hang on, I'll be back.
Oops.
When I'm not going to do it here, but when I manipulate it and manage to get just a bit of sound out of it, it does sound very good and very clear and loud. So when I can get either the spring repaired or the belt at the right tension and get the thing working properly, it is going to sound great. These celluloid cylinders were very good quality and they sound fantastic. So yeah, I'm determined to get it working.
All right,
Okay.
thank you, Mike.
Okay, thank you.
So our next presenter is Ed Moran with this super interesting portable.
Yes.
You want this up there right away?
Yeah, you might as well. You might as well. I feel fortunate to have been invited. Want me to leave the room? No. Oh, okay. Oh, whatever you want, Mike. I do whatever I'm told. I have a wife, remember? Lots of luck. Very fortunate to have had the opportunity to pick some things out of Dominic's collection. And the next two items came directly from Dominic. These aren't things that I found. And there are a number of people in here who have some very select items that are fantastic. Don't you laugh, it's true. And it was an opportunity to pick up a few things that were of interest. I've always had an interest in small phonographs. And there's basically two kinds. Ones that were toys, often German, sometimes French, there's a few English, but they're tin. And they were never meant to last a long time, but they're neat. They have good graphics and terrible motors. The motors in them, never overwind them too much because once they let go, there's not much you can do. The second class are really not toys. And we saw one over here. That is not a toy. It is a class called camera phone and from the camera. And there were two basic shapes of cameras. Did you think of the old brownie, or not the brownie, but the early brownies were square, rectangular, or the ones that were longer, like you see the Thorns camera phone, that shape, the fold out type, the front would come down. And many manufacturers came up with ideas. I have probably, I would say, 30, 40 toy phonographs. But this one I had not seen. I frankly didn't even know it existed. And it's again, when we just heard Mike talk about doll makers, clock makers, and marrying things together and ideas and branching off. Well, here we have an example, and the ingenuity is always something, the way these things fold out and go into a case so beautifully, and the quality of this stuff. So quite simply, to hold the record, you slip the reproducer in, the case becomes the resonator to amplify the sound, and the crank is there. And you can play this just like you saw a moment ago, a different model, but this is a small 7-inch Victor, somewhere between 1901 and 1907 in that range. And you simply turn it on. I shouldn't perhaps have picked this song. But
Is
I
there a
did.
ring around the
I'll
outside?
leave it there. Sorry?
Is there I've seen some of those records with a ring around the outside. If you put it outside that ring, it doesn't play. If you put it inside the ring, you'll get to the grooves. Is that one of those records?
No. No, this is just a small, early Victor 7-inch record. But somewhere between 1901 and 1907, I think they did the 7-inch, and 05 to 09, I think, were the 8-inch, which are rare. They're not rare. The beauty.
Up the clock, though.
Well, yeah,
Yes.
here on Zoom, if I can butt in, here on Zoom, we get no sound, and it could be because you have your settings there to cancel background noise. That's happened before in past meetings where we can't hear the records being played because something in your output settings say cancel background noise. And that
I've always had trouble with my output settings.
Did you actually get sound out of that record?
Susan March.
I can't understand what's the question. I'm sorry, I don't. It's muffled.
Oh yeah, here on the web we got 0. It just sounded. It was just silent. So did you guys get any sound at all from that record?
Oh, well, it's fair. It's reasonably loud. It's not. It's not. Anyway, I'm gonna.
Put it on low. Yeah, but you have to pick one of these.
The other part of this was.
Can you try it again? We'll just see if it works.
Great, thank you.
Oh my God, yeah, that's it. That was Tom Ray who said that, right?
Yeah.
Thanks, Tom.
Are we operational again?
Yeah.
Oh. These new things are just great. Now the ingenuity comes in where we start to marry ideas. And the original Peter Pan was from England about early 1920s. This is French. I don't know why, whether Peter Pan, they had a patent rights that they took it, and the clock is German. But that wasn't uncommon to have mixed parts because everybody wasn't a clockmaker, everybody wasn't, so they would marry parts together. And this was an alarm clock. Now, so, just a sec. Okay.
Oh my goodness. The record would play when the alarm went off.
Yeah.
Oh, it should have.
Make you regret that you ever woke up.
Okay, we can imagine it.
Well, anyway, it does work.
I think there's a curse on the meeting to get machines to work today.
It was working perfectly this morning. What happens, so we'll have that, what happens. You set the time and the alarm, you press the button and it wakes you up at 9 o'clock. It works exactly like an alarm clock. Why it's not doing it now, I don't know. But that's always the way these.
By playing the record or
by playing the record. It starts the record to play, and it does.
If you advance the clock now, you'll probably start.
Well, this has to be in position. This has to trigger. God, I hate this one.
Yeah, did you wind the clock?
No, you don't have to wind the
But
clock.
if you advance the clock, it will trigger.
I know, but it isn't advancing. That's why I played it this morning, and it
You're
was.
turning it backwards.
Change the battery.
There's a little piece in there, and if it's not dead on, and now anyway, it will work. It's called Believe It or Not, and I just find it very novel of what the little thing
Well,
does.
it's an extension of Leroy's original travel alarm clock idea. And then
Exactly. And the appeal in antiques, the appeal of everything is where it crosses a line. So the clockmakers like it, and the mechanical people like it, the phonograph people like it. Just a neat little piece, that's all.
Very neat.
Yeah.
Very good.
This is also out of Dominic's collection. I just loved it because of the way it looked. And this This is the same kind of European look that Mike showed us of the quality of the machinery and the finish on these and the engraving on the end. You can't see the engraving, where is it? Somewhere here anyway. Oh, on the front, that makes sense. The engraving of Pathé. This is a Pathé Model A, very early, and very closely resembles a Columbia B. You would think they were almost the same machine, but in a beautiful case. Now, the case is rather interesting. It's called bois nécessaire. Nécessaire is a French word which means essential. Can be an adjective, can be a noun. And it was mainly meant for, you see, nécessaires in music boxes, which ladies used. Do you want to look it up, Alex?
Yeah, I was gonna show them the detail.
And the nécessaire is something that's essential. Why this is a nécessaire, I don't know, but it's a bois nécessaire, and in that context means the kit. So this was a kit that was put together. It comes with two reproducers, one a recording, and then the playback reproducer, which will hook up. I'll put a cylinder on.
Again, it's a copy of the Leray box, which I didn't mention actually. The number 2, that model actually came in a plush box, pretty much like that.
I've noticed a resemblance to the Columbia a lot. Have you ever considered that Pathé bought some basic Columbia phonographs and then modified them to make them look like their own?
No, they actually
No?
copied.
All right, okay.
They're slightly different, I believe.
This is really difficult because there are very few examples of this particular unit. Like Mike's, you just don't find them. Most of them are in museums if they exist.
And yours is one of the few ever seen that has the writing on the inside.
So, all right, we'll see if this works.
But that old word of gratitude has always puzzled me. A year ago, a man I know ran up and borrowed 10. Today he said, I'll pay you when the robin nests again. That's gratitude.
No dancing Sunday.
That's gratitude. You lend a man your money, maybe.
I think you'd agree the quality is pretty good. For usually these things, as we know, don't sound really well, but these are really quite clear and bearable to listen to. So anyway, I can't tell you a great deal more about it because there isn't a lot of information about it. They're just one of those things that you just have to keep working at and exploring and understanding. But it was the Model A, and this was the kit. And as I was saying, just the nécessaire were music boxes, and they opened up, and your women used them on their thing, and then when they opened, they would start to play, and they had nail files and nail cleaners and things like that. And they're very pricey. They come in beautiful boxes from Napoleonic times and inlaid. But I thought it was interesting. They also call this a nécessaire. Anyway, voila.
Very nice.
Yeah? I don't want to break it.
You don't want to break it?
No.
Oh, okay.
All right, thank you, Ed. So I'm next. I'm gonna present this opera here. Should I move this a little bit so I can put it here, or?
Yeah, you're gonna leave it on the stand, right?
Yeah.
That's a very famous record.
So,
Angle it a bit.
like like this.
Something wrong with your reproducer, you better deal with that right now. It's coming down.
Oh, this, like that.
Is it pushed all the way in?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah, it is. All right, so I decided to bring this machine in today because there's only like 35 known in existence and believed to be around 300 produced total. Edison didn't advertise these in 1912 when they came out, so that's why there's only a few of them in existence.
He did not advertise.
Yeah, he didn't advertise them very well. What I heard is that he didn't advertise them at all, but I'm not sure.
The schools, weren't they? So they
Yeah.
were just being promoted directly
For
to
sure,
schools,
yeah.
I would imagine.
Did you guys know that the Amberolas, some of the earlier models, have the opera works where the cylinder is stationary and everything else moves? I think the Model 6 and 10 had that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So this machine came out in 1912 and was sold for about $75. And you could buy, it came with cylinders that you have to pay extra. So there's like a few of school titles, but they're so scarce that I don't even have a single one with the machine.
You very fortunate to get that.
Yeah. So it's finished all in this solid steel case. So it's extra durable for school use. And it came on this stand. And it's originally supposed to have cardboard boxes, but you won't find any with original cardboard boxes. So I have these newer wooden ones, I would say.
It's not as tall as an opera machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And it was finished in this black enamel paint. So this is an all original example. And out of the 35 known, like almost half aren't complete. So some are missing the horn or some are missing, most of the known ones are missing the stand. So it's nice to see this one fully intact, just without the original boxes.
Can we hear it?
Of course, let's hear it. Oh, and I also wanted to add one thing. Many of you might not know, but you can actually take out the reproducer. And there's a recording arm for this machine, and it will fit on any other opera or Amberola A1 or AB, no, 1B. So it will go like this.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, you know, if you use a canophonic archivette, you can attach it to the reproducers and then directly to your recording device. I use my computer, and it makes astounding copies. But only cylinder.
All right, let's hear it.
I am very envious of you, in case nobody else has said it.
We're gonna play Red Wing.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that song.
To the speaker, isn't it? When somebody speaks, we would normally see them.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and do that. This is a good one because it's not a dam roller. No, my
So, with the recording, so
Yeah.
you can only record on a wax.
4-minute wax. Or like, yeah.
So like a black Emerald.
No, just like the normal wax ones,
Yeah.
but it has to be a 4-minute stylus or something like that. Like a 4-minute recorder.
Were those made with
Yeah.
with those blank cylinders made available, or do you have to shave?
Sorry, I
The
can't hear.
cylinders were, they came in a yellowish box like that, but it had flock inside it. But they're very dark brown, the 4-minute ones, because the wax almost black, but it's still soft wax.
Because the black ones you can't shave.
No, that's right, and it's completely different wax from the regular cold molded or four-minute anvils. Okay.
Let's hear it. This one plays really well. All right, so
That's
this
really
is
good.
the Schoolhouse Opera.
Yeah, very good.
So we have a little bit more time, so I brought an extra machine to show in case we had a little bit of time. So, this is a European, a German zonophone coin-op. This one is from around 1901, maybe 1902, but it's this model C model, and this was offered in the States for about a year, for a very short period of time, but this is a European one that's been converted, or I'm not sure, like it's made into a coin-op.
Finding such unique machines.
Yeah.
Oh, we have them all over the place here. Yeah. Just drive around Toronto any day.
Okay, so my next vacation is gonna be in Toronto.
And this one actually works, but you will find a lot of European coin-operated machines, but they're mostly back mount, but you rarely see one that's front mount. And this one actually works, and it plays really well, so we're gonna play it.
What coins, Alex?
A 5-cent American or Canadian.
I was thinking maybe a $5 gold piece.
Mark, do you have something thin? Oh no, it opens now. Okay.
Does that use a screw-on or that darn clip for the reproducer to grab the needle?
What? Let's see.
It's a screw-on.
Thank you. I have a reproducer with the clip and it hurts.
So we're gonna play Under the Double Eagle March.
Oh yeah, wonderful, Mark.
This one's good.
Yeah.
You'll be surprised by the sound of this front mount. The reproducer's been rebuilt, so it sounds really good.
That sounds like my AJ third type. Very, very loud and clear.
This goes in here, and then it starts. Oh my God. Yeah? I don't know what way it goes, maybe this way. Is it better or still too fast?
Way too fast.
slower?
Probably recorded in 72.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for listening, and this was all of the show and tell.
Well done, Alex, very good. Very good.
Okay, that's it.
Those are some amazing machines you have.
Yeah.
Somebody was asking a question.
So, Alice, thank you so much for putting all this together for us.
Yeah,
I think
thank you.
Demonstrated some totally incredible rare machines.
I may have one. Do you consider a Pipes Opan portable, it's a luggable, a unique and unusual machine? It can play Hillendale and lateral. It can play Hillendale and the regular laterals. I can do a presentation on it if you're interested.
Can you make a, like, is he ready now?
No.
Oh,
On the few-
make a
In
video
future.
of it,
Yeah.
and then we'll play the video.
David, did you hear that? Are you able to make a video of it and we can show it in future?
Yes.
Oh, that'd be great, yeah. For sure.
Okay. And I guess send the video to Mark, who you've now made friends with, and he'll queue everything up for another meeting.
And by the way, I also wanted to mention to the members that I have, by hook or by crook and by help from others, acquired discographies of Lambert and Busy Bee. If you wanted to catalog your collection or see what else is available, I've also got a very unusual book. I'm going to try to show it on the screen. It's a Kessel music book with a list of all the early brown wax Columbia 4-inch and 6-inch records. And it's already helped me find a few records.
Sounds excellent. So how about we get in touch with you, then we can talk offline?
Sounds wonderful.
Okay, thank you. So I guess we're ready to take a break now. But again, Alice, thank you so much for putting this together. I know it was a lot of work on your part, lining people up and getting the machines here. And look at the work of like having to have this opera machine brought into the classroom here. Thank you for going to the effort.
Thank you.
Great job. So we're going to take our usual break in the room here.
I'll video
And
the,
Mike's going to go around with his phone for those of you online so you can see what's available on the auction tables. And we'll resume in about 15, 20 minutes or so.
Is Ed Morin there? Ed Morin.
Ed Moran.
yeah.
I was already up, David.
Oh, can I see you again? We've been going back and forth with emails, and I got some more Lakeside cylinders from him.
Okay, well, I'll email you tonight.
I don't know if you heard that. Ed says he'll email you tonight.
Okay, Ed, thank
Okay,
you.
we're going to cut the microphone and take a break now. So stay tuned if you're online.
And 50-50 draw.
And the 50-50 draw with Don Kelly.
Come to see Peter. I'm the guy who's gonna do it today.